So many of you asked for this, and now here it is. But be warned, what Alice finds through the looking glass makes Wonderland seem almost normal. This world doesn't just bend reality, it rewrites it. And the deeper Alice goes, the more she realizes that in this game, the rules don't just change, they were never meant to be fair. What if the world was reversed, where time runs backward, logic twists in on itself, and even walking forward takes you nowhere? But what if I told you this wasn't just nonsense, that this book is actually one of the most mind-bending stories ever written, and that once you understand its hidden meaning, you might never see your own reality the same way again. In Through the Looking Glass, and what Alice found there, Lewis Carroll doesn't just take Alice to another whimsical world. He turns reality itself inside out. Unlike Wonderland, which was chaotic and unpredictable, Looking Glass Land operates by its own strict rules, but rules that feel strangely wrong to anyone from our world. Here, everything is reversed. Directions don't work the way they should. Time moves strangely, sometimes even backward. And perhaps most unsettling of all, cause and effect are no longer in order. Instead of making a plan and then acting in Looking Glass Land, things often happen before their cause is even decided. Alice, ever the curious adventurer, steps forward, and to her surprise, she doesn't hit a solid surface. Instead, the glass melts away, and she finds herself stepping through, crossing the threshold into a world that shouldn't exist, but does. But Looking Glass Land isn't just about being backward, it's about breaking the logic of reality. In our world, if you want to get somewhere, you walk toward it. But here, walking towards something might take you further away, while walking away might be the only way to reach it. When Alice meets the Red Queen, she learns this firsthand. The Queen, who moves like a chess piece, explains one of Looking Glass Land's strangest rules.
Now here you see, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. If you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast as that.
This bizarre rule, known today as the Red Queen hypothesis, suggests that in a world where everything is constantly changing, staying still means falling behind. It's a strange but eerily accurate reflection of real life. In evolution, competition, and even society, you have to keep moving just to survive. Looking Glass Land isn't simply a mirror, it's a chess game in progress. From the moment Alice arrives, she's not just a visitor, she's a pawn. She must move across the board, following the strict, logical rules of the game, if she ever wants to become a queen herself. This isn't Wonderland's anarchy. This is a world of strategy and structure. Everything has a place. Every piece has a role. But just because there are rules doesn't mean they make any sense. Through the looking glass, Alice is forced to play by rules she doesn't fully understand. But they are rules nonetheless. If Wonderland was about losing control, then Looking Glass Land is about trying to navigate a world that has its own strict logic, even if that logic feels incomprehensible. It's a world of rigid structure, but without clear guidance on how to succeed. Sound familiar? In many ways, Looking Glass Land is a metaphor. A world that demands she move a certain way, follow a certain structure, play a game she never agreed to join. Is this just a dream? A puzzle? Or is it a warning? Maybe Looking Glass Land exists to make us question the systems we live in, the rules we follow, the way we move through life without asking why. Maybe, just like Alice, we need to stop and ask, who made these rules? And do I really have to follow them? Through the Looking Glass isn't just a sequel to Wonderland, it's something much stranger. It takes Alice's journey and reverses it, forcing her to confront not chaos, but structure, not randomness, but a world that is rigid, but wrong. A world that asks not just whether we can follow the rules, but whether those rules were ever meant to help us in the first place. Every move is predetermined. Every action part of a larger strategy she can't fully see. She's placed on the board, told what she must do, and given a path to follow. She has one goal, to reach the 8th square and become a queen. But at what cost?
I suppose you think you're one of us.
One of you, but I'm not a flower.
You would be if you only took root. But goodness, what a loud sort of flower you are.
Alice is no stranger to talking creatures, but in Looking Glass Land, even the plants have opinions. When she steps into the garden of live flowers, she finds herself surrounded not by silent beauty, but by whispering, murmuring, and very judgmental blossoms. The flowers aren't just alive, they have attitudes. The rose is elegant and condescending. The tiger lily is bold and sharp, and the violet is hesitant but still opinionated. They bicker, gossip, and even debate whether Alice herself is a flower at all. This scene, as absurd as it seems, reflects one of Looking Glass Land's key themes: identity. The flowers see Alice as an outsider, something that doesn't quite fit their definition of what belongs in the garden. It can be interpreted as a playful but sharp commentary on how society labels people, deciding who fits in and who doesn't, often for the most arbitrary reasons. Alice begins to realize that in this world, nothing is what it seems. Even silence is just a matter of perception. The flowers have always talked. She just wasn't in the right place to hear them. It's another example of looking glass logic, where reality isn't about what's true, but about where you happen to be standing. The Garden of Live Flowers is more than just a strange encounter. It's a reminder that even in a world turned upside down, people, or in this case, plants, will always find a way to judge, categorize, and decide who belongs. And Alice, once again, is left wondering where exactly she fits in. Tweedledee and Tweedledum suddenly start reciting a poem, a seemingly silly, rhythmic story about the Walrus and the Carpenter. At first, it sounds like a light-hearted tale, but as Alice listens, she realizes it's actually horrifying. The story of the Walrus and the Carpenter seems like a playful tale, until you realize it's about manipulation and betrayal. The Walrus and the Carpenter trick a group of young oysters into following them, leading them away from their home with charming words and false promises. The oysters, innocent and trusting, go willingly. They do not ask where they are going or why until it's too late. The Walrus, dabbing at fake tears with a silk handkerchief, pretends to feel bad for what he's about to do. The Carpenter says nothing, only waiting for his share. In the end, the Walrus eats them while pretending to feel bad. The Carpenter is angry, but not because the oysters were eaten. He's mad because he didn't get any. The story is a metaphor for deception and manipulation. The oysters never stood a chance because they were too trusting. The Walrus pretends to care. The Carpenter pretends to be innocent. But in the end, both of them win. It's a warning. Not every monster looks like one. Sometimes they smile while they lead you to your doom. just because someone cries for you doesn't mean they won't hurt you. It's a story of predators and prey, and Alice is beginning to understand that not everything in this world is just nonsense. Some of it is a warning. One of the most philosophical moments in Through the Looking Glass happens when Tweedledee and Tweedledum show Alice the sleeping Red King. The Red King isn't ruling, fighting, or even speaking. He just sleeps. But according to Tweedledee and Tweedledum, that might be the most powerful thing of all. The twins tell Alice something that shakes her to her core. He's dreaming about you. And if he were to wake up, you'd vanish. Poof! Just like that. If the Red King is dreaming about Alice, does that mean she only exists inside his mind? What happens if he wakes up? Is she a real person who stumbled into Looking Glass Land? Or is she just a figment of his imagination? If she's only part of the dream, then she was never real at all. And if she's real, how does she prove it? But that's the thing about dreams. Inside them, everything feels real. The fear, the joy, even the tears. Just because Alice believes she exists doesn't mean she does. And that's the strangest part of all. The Red King never wakes up. The question is never answered. Alice never proves whether she's real or just another piece on the board. And when she leaves Looking Glass Land, the dream continues with or without her. If Alice is just part of the Red King's dream, then nothing she does truly matters. But if she is the one dreaming, then Looking Glass Land itself isn't real at all. And in the end, no one knows the truth.
It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards.
The White Queen approaches and is in distress, clutching her hand as if she's just been injured. But then something strange happens. The injury hasn't happened yet, but she already feels the pain. Instead of treating the wound, she calmly reaches for a brooch and pricks her finger. Imagine stubbing your toe before you even take a step. In Looking Glass Land, time doesn't work the way we expect. It moves backward, not forward. The White Queen doesn't react to pain in the moment. She remembers it before it even happens. Cause and effect have flipped, and reality itself is unraveling. Here, things don't happen in a linear order. Instead, effects come first and causes follow later. If you get hurt, you'll feel the pain before you even know what caused it. If you win a race, you'll receive your praise before you even start running. This isn't just nonsense. This is a world where destiny is already set in stone, where choice and free will is meaningless because everything has already happened. It raises an interesting question. If you knew the outcome of your life before it happened, would you still try to change it? To the White Queen, remembering the future is completely normal. She treats it not as a curse, but as a simple fact of life. But for Alice and for us, it's a disturbing thought because it suggests something terrifying. What if we are powerless against what's already coming? This entire moment plays into a deeper theme within Through the Looking Glass, the fear of inevitability. The Queen is trapped in a paradox where the future has already happened, and no matter what she does, she can't change it. There's something deeply human about this, because don't we all experience time this way, in a sense? We relive our past mistakes. We anticipate pain before it even happens. We replay memories over and over, long after the moment has passed. The White Queen isn't just living backward. She's trapped in a cycle of regret. remembering pain before it even arrives. She's the personification of how we too pre-experience our own fears, the way we anticipate loss, the way we brace for bad news before it comes, the way we mourn things before they're even gone. But here's the difference. She accepts it. She doesn't try to fight the inevitable. She doesn't panic over the past or the future. To her, this is simply the way things are. And in a way, isn't that a kind of freedom? This moment is one of the most surreal in Through the Looking Glass, but it carries a deep truth about life. We all wish we could control time. We wish we could know what's coming or undo what's already been done. But like the White Queen, we can't stop it. We can only learn to live with it. Through the Looking Glass isn't just about a world where time moves backward. It's about the way we move through time. Tweedledee and Tweedledum are often remembered as part of Alice in Wonderland, largely due to Disney's adaptation. But they weren't there at all. Not in the original story. Instead, they belong to Through the Looking Glass. They're more than just mischievous twins. They're mirrors of each other. Two sides of the same coin, constantly arguing, yet inseparable. They seem to fight over everything, but in the end, nothing ever changes. Their famous argument, a petty squabble over a broken toy. But that's the point. They're not really enemies. They're playing a strange, endless game where conflict never leads to resolution. Tweedledee and Tweedledum are from Looking Glass Land, a world where reflection, repetition, and both sides shape everything. They don't exist to move the story forward. They exist to make Alice and us question what we're seeing. Are they two people or the same person, split in two? Tweedledee and Tweedledum may not have been part of the original Wonderland tale, but their reflection lingers, showing us that maybe sometimes our greatest conflicts are within ourselves. When Alice stumbles upon Humpty Dumpty, she finds him sitting high up on a wall. Despite his ridiculous appearance, he speaks with authority, treating Alice with an amusing mix of condescension and absurd logic. True to the nature of this land, he isn't just a nursery rhyme character. He's a self-proclaimed master of words. He insists that words mean exactly what he chooses them to mean, neither more nor less. In one of the most famous exchanges in the book, Humpty claims to understand the strange words from the Jabberwocky poem. He declares himself an expert in language, though his definitions are as arbitrary as they are ridiculous. For Humpty, words serve whoever controls them. In his mind, definitions aren't fixed. They're dictated by power. It's a subtle critique of how language can be twisted, manipulated, and controlled by those in authority. Alice doesn't realize it, but she's standing at the edge of one of the most famous, inevitable moments in literature. No matter what happens or what Alice says, Humpty Dumpty is destined to fall. Humpty's arrogance, his pride in language, his refusal to acknowledge reality, none of it protects him from his fate. And just like that, he falls. Of course, we all know how this ends. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. His fate was sealed long before Alice ever arrived. No amount of power, no royal decree, no army can reverse what's already happened. But this moment isn't just about a nursery rhyme coming true. It's about the illusion of control. Humpty believed he could control language, that he could bend reality to his will. But in the end, reality doesn't bend for anyone. In many ways, Humpty Dumpty is the ultimate symbol of hubris. He believed himself invincible, too important to fall. Some falls are inevitable, and no amount of words can put them back together again.
Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch.
The Jabberwock might be the most famous creature from Through the Looking Glass, yet Alice never actually encounters it. Instead, it exists inside the poem Jabberwocky, a nonsense poem about a knight slaying a terrifying creature. Though Alice never meets the Jabberwock, the poem is one of Lewis Carroll's most famous works. But what exactly is the Jabberwock? A terrifying beast lurking in the shadows of Looking Glass Land. The Jabberwock is the ultimate nightmare, yet its entire existence is built from gibberish. Carroll's poem is filled with words that don't exist, yet we still feel the danger. But it's more than just a monster. It's a symbol of something we all face. Fear itself. The poem tells the story of a hero who must face the Jabberwock with a vorpal sword, the only weapon capable of slaying it. The Jabberwock is a creature of nonsense, but its story follows a classic pattern: the hero's journey, the battle against chaos. It's a monster that shouldn't make sense, but somehow it does. Because fear doesn't have to be logical to feel real. The poem Jabberwocky is made up of words that don't even exist, yet we still understand its meaning. It proves something strange about language. Meaning doesn't have to come from logic. It can also come from feeling. It's easy to forget about the Bandersnatch, but for Alice, it wasn't just a word in a poem. It was something real, something that almost caught her. First mentioned in Carroll's poem Jabberwocky, and expanded in The Hunting of the Snark. The Bandersnatch is described as a frumious creature, ferocious, fast, and dangerous. Unlike the Jabberwock, which represents a clear villain to defeat, the Bandersnatch is like chaos itself. It doesn't care about good or evil. It just exists. It taps into the primal fear of being hunted, something coming for you that you can't stop or reason with. It's fast, aggressive, and unpredictable. The White Queen warns Alice about the Bandersnatch before it happens, but only because to her it already has. The Bandersnatch isn't just a strange creature. It's a symbol of something we all face. The unexpected, the things that chase us when we aren't ready, the dangers we never saw coming. This isn't just a battle between two knights. It's a war between ideologies. A war fought long before Alice ever arrived in Looking Glass Land. But if you are expecting an epic showdown between two warriors, you're about to be very disappointed. The Red Knight wants to capture Alice. The White Knight wants to rescue her. But in reality, neither of them seem particularly good at fighting or even staying upright. Some say this duel is more than just a game of chess. The colors, the Red Knight and the White Knight, mirror the very real struggle of the Wars of the Roses, where the House of Lancaster and the House of York waged war for the English throne. A battle that, like this one, was relentless, cyclical, and left no true victor. Only an exhausted kingdom. It's not a battle, it's a farce. A series of awkward swings, missed hits, and dramatic falls. And yet, both of them act as if this is the most important fight of their lives. They don't question why they're fighting. They just know they have to, because that's the rule. And that's when Alice sees it. This isn't about victory. It's about the performance of battle. The knights aren't trying to win. They're just playing their roles, stuck in an endless loop of meaningless conflict. And for what? Some fights have no winners. Some battles don't even matter. And sometimes the only way to win is to stop pretending the game was ever real in the first place. Alice has done everything right. She has followed the rules, taken each step carefully across the chessboard, and played the game exactly as she was meant to. Every square, every challenge, every bizarre encounter, she has endured them all. And now, after all the nonsense, after all the riddles and contradictions, she stands at the 8th square, the final step. She has won the game. She is no longer a pawn. She is a queen. But instead of triumph, Alice finds herself trapped in yet another world of nonsense. The queens start to speak in riddles, their words empty. The power Alice thought she wanted. It means nothing. She has followed the rules, played the game, done everything she was supposed to do. And yet, nothing makes sense. Nothing has changed. The game was never meant to be won. It was only meant to be played. And so Alice does the only thing that makes sense. She breaks the rules. Maybe the only way to win is to stop playing the game. Through the Looking Glass is not just a game of chess. It is a lesson about power, about control, about the absurdity of a world where rules are meant to be followed, even when they make no sense. Alice played the game, but in the end, she realized the truth. The rules were never there to help her. They were only there to keep her moving. And in the moment she chose to break them, the entire illusion fell apart. Perhaps the real world is not so different. Perhaps we too follow rules we never agreed to. Perhaps we too chase goals we don't even understand. And perhaps the only way to truly win is to stop playing by someone else's rules. This isn't just a story. It's a challenge. It's a question. One that only you can answer. In the end, Through the Looking Glass isn't just about winning a game. It's about realizing that sometimes the only way to win is to wake up. Or maybe it's just a story. I'll leave that for you to decide. Let me know in the comments, who is your favorite character, or who do you relate to the most from Through the Looking Glass? If you made it this far and liked the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to join our growing community of Mystic Seekers. If you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. Thanks for watching.